Discover the 16 unexpected car models nobody's buying in 2025. Transform your choices today. In a small Midwestern town where rust clung to the walls like a bad memory, Jake, a steadfast mechanic and single father, wrestled with the confines of his fading world. His two kids, Emily and Lucas, were all he had, and every day was a battle against the economic tides that tossed their neighborhood like a flimsy boat on a stormy sea. The whispers behind closed doors, the scrutinizing glances from neighbors who measured success in shiny cars and big houses, weighed heavily on his heart. Yet, amidst this struggle, a flicker of hope ignited within him. One afternoon, as Jake wiped grease from his hands, he stumbled upon a list of 16 car models that hardly anyone in town cared about. They were practical, affordable gems hidden in the shadows of more glamorous options, the kind of cars that ran strong and could keep a family safe without breaking the bank. It hit him like a flash of inspiration. What if he could share this knowledge with his neighbors? Could he spark a change in the way they perceived value? The thought of launching a grassroots initiative consumed him. It would be a challenge. He understood that changing deep-seated beliefs didn't happen overnight. But he envisioned a community gathering, a place where he could showcase the benefits of these overlooked vehicles, highlighting hard work over superficial status. He pictured the people around him, perhaps even the man in the luxury suit known for flashing his wealth, nodding in appreciation for something deeper than mere appearance. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. But as the days went by and his campaign gained steam, the atmosphere shifted. The local businessman, with his polished car and polished image, wasn't he about to let his status slip away quietly? He needed to protect his empire, and his attacks on Jake's initiative came swift and sharp-snide remarks at the diner, whispers at the barbershop, and even thinly veiled threats. The townsfolk began to split. Some rallied behind Jake, while others clung tighter to their old beliefs, the fear of change tugging at their hearts. Jake's resolve was tested. With his livelihood on the line and the weight of this growing divide pushing down on him, he arranged a town event to showcase these misunderstood vehicles. Maybe this could bring us together, he thought, envisioning the unity it could foster. But then, an ultimatum came from the businessman, a direct threat against his shop if Jake didn't back down. On the day of the event, nerves coiled tightly in Jake's chest as he faced a sea of familiar faces, his kids standing by him, their eyes full of trust. He felt the tension in the air, the mixed bag of hope and trepidation. Would his words reach their hearts? Would they dare to look beyond the shine? He stepped up to the microphone, heart racing, knowing this moment could change everything. Was he ready to challenge the fabric of their community, ready to pave a new path? As silence filled the gathering, heavy yet electric, Jake's voice steadied, drawing in breaths of courage. What would come next? Acceptance or rejection loomed heavily in the air, straddling a line that could reshape lives. Jake took a deep breath, his palms sweating against the cool metal of the mic. He glanced at Emily and Lucas, their small figures practically whispering encouragement. Was it courage that filled him, or desperation? Maybe both. Yet the silence around him was deafening, tightening the knot in his stomach. "Thank you all for coming," he started, his voice shaky yet determined. "I know things have been tough around here." He paused, looking out at the crowd. Faces he remembered from Little League games and school plays. Faces that shared his laughter and his struggles. "I want to talk about something different today. Something that matters more than shiny cars and fancy labels." He launched into his presentation, showcasing pictures of the 16 cars that were affordable yet reliable, each image flickering behind him like a salvation beacon. Car after car rolled through the slideshow, each met with murmurs. Some people leaned in, intrigued. Others shifted uncomfortably, trying to dismiss the ideas he was presenting. "It's not about what others think," Jake urged, his passion gaining momentum. "It's about what we need. We need cars that get us to work, that take our kids to school safely, that fit our lives without breaking the bank." He could see the resistance in the back row, the businessman's sharp eye narrowing in disapproval. Life shouldn't be a competition of who has the most expensive toys. It's about community, about family, about taking care of each other. A soft voice cut through the crowd. It was Mrs. Baker, a widow living just down the street. You're right, Jake. My old car barely makes it up the hill anymore. I don't need anything fancy, just something that works. That comment acted like a spark, igniting murmurs of agreement and mutterings of doubt. What's the catch? Someone shouted from the back, still skeptical. Jake shifted on his feet, his heart racing with determination. Absolutely no catch. Just cars that work for us. He moved through the crowd, eyes meeting those who once shared laughter over BBQs in yards. If we can come together, we can support each other through these hard times. This isn't just about cars, it's about pride. It's about standing together. But fear lingered, especially in those still loyal to the businessman. He delivered another sharp retort, mocking Jake's ideas as he leaned back against his sleek, flashy vehicle, a symbol of the very divide Jake was trying to dismantle. You'll never win against polished steel, Jake. It's what makes a man respected. Jake shook his head. You can't measure a man's worth by the car he drives. Look around you. What do we really value? The ground felt shaky beneath him, both metaphorically and literally, as the old city hall creaked in anticipation. The tension was thick, a storm threatening to downpour. Jake's heart raced. Would they side with him or retreat into comfort? He turned to his kids, both standing beside him, innocence shining brightly in their expectant eyes. Together, we can redefine what it means to succeed. Let us be the change we wish to see. Let us prove that it's not the gloss but the substance that counts. His voice rang with fervor, echoing against the walls. The crowd went still, the murmurs fading into thoughtful silence. Then, from somewhere toward the front, a figure stood slowly, an unlikely ally. It was Tom, the local grocery store owner, clutching a coffee cup. You know, Jake's right. We've got to look out for each other. It's high time we start listening to what matters. As energy shifted, hope tinged with uncertainty pulsed through the gathering. Togetherness was wrestling against tradition, and the battle remained uncertain. Jake felt the weight of the moment. Just one voice could tip the scales. Would the crowd find the courage to stand with him, or would they let the fear of change drown their hopes? The air was charged with questions as eyes darted around, falling upon Jake, waiting, wondering if this was just the beginning of something bigger or the end of a dream. The energy in the room was palpable as Jake steadied himself, desperately searching for the right words. A storm of questions swirled in his mind, and he felt the weight of the moment pressing on him. This was more than just about cars, it was about them, about their dreams and fears, about whether they could truly create something lasting. What happens when it gets tough? That lingering question echoed, and Jake recognized the fear behind it. It was in David's eyes, in the hesitant glances shared among friends. They were all scared. Scared of failure, of rejection. But more than anything, they were scared of not trying at all. He took a deep breath, letting the silence stretch a little longer. When it gets tough, Jake began, his voice stronger than he felt. That's when we lean on each other. That's when it matters to come together even more. Samantha stepped beside him, her presence igniting a flicker of hope in the crowd. Every journey has challenges, but we're not facing this alone. We'll share our struggles, our victories, and surround ourselves with support. That's the heartbeat of community. A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd, and Jake felt a wave of relief wash over him. They were catching fire again. Lucas, brimming with enthusiasm, piped up, "Yeah, like a pit crew. If one car stalls, the team jumps in to help." His enthusiasm sparked smiles and laughter, easing some of the tension. "Exactly." Jake grinned at him. "Just as a pit crew works together to keep a race rolling, we'll keep each other moving forward." David uncrossed his arms, nodding slowly. "I see what you mean. If we build this together, it'll be ours, something we can rally behind." Jake locked eyes with David, a growing camaraderie forming as the atmosphere shifted once more, pulsating with shared purpose. And just like that, they began to brainstorm. Ideas flowed. Different strategies were shared, stretching into new territories they had never considered. They spoke of outreach, of inviting local businesses to sponsor events, of community spaces where they could all gather and learn about car care together. But doubt still lingered as the clock ticked on. This sounds great, but how do we even start? Another voice from the back called out, laced with skepticism. Jake felt his heart begin to race again. He glanced at Samantha, then at the passionate faces before him. We start by making a plan. A small, manageable plan, he proposed, hoping to catch their enthusiasm again. Let us set dates for meetings, create a social media page, and map out our resources. The idea seemed to strike a chord. They listed down tasks: who would handle which social media accounts, who would reach out to mechanics, how they could collaborate on ideas. Let us set a date for our first big community gathering, Samantha suggested, her voice steadying the room. We need something to aim for, a milestone. Let us give ourselves a purpose. The crowd erupted into spirited discussion, ideas sparking as their fears ebbed away beneath the promise of action. But even as excitement surged, a quiet voice still whispered in Jake's mind. What if they weren't enough? What if the tough times proved to be more than they anticipated? Feeling that weight, he turned to face everyone with renewed determination. This won't be easy. There will be bumps in the road. But if we stand united, we can't fail. A collective murmur of agreement echoed as motivation swirled. This was just the beginning, the first step towards something monumental, yet fragile, like a car revving on the starting line. And then came the final question, quiet yet loaded. What if we become the community everyone wished they had? That question hung in the air, full of promise and excitement. The challenge loomed ahead, and hope shimmered as they prepared to dive in. Jake clenched his fists, heart racing, knowing this was only the start. Where they would end up was a blur still. But he felt certain of one thing. Whatever came, they would face it together. With a deep breath, he stepped forward. Are you ready to put the pedal to the metal? But right then, a crack of uncertainty suddenly surged from the back of the room. And what if someone tries to shut us down? Jake felt his pulse quicken. This was about to get intense. Would their strength hold up against the world beyond their gathering? The room fell into a heavy silence. The question hung in the air like a dark cloud, casting shadows over the bright spark they had ignited just moments ago. Jake's heart raced as he scanned the faces of his friends. Each one reflected a mix of determination and fear, a palpable tension thickening the atmosphere. Samantha, sensing the hesitation, stepped forward again, ready to dispel the gloom. Look, we know the world outside isn't always kind to those who dare to dream, she said. But that's why we're here. Together, we have the power to build something incredible, something that won't just be a flash in the pan. We're creating a community, a family. That's right, Jake echoed, finding his voice. Every great innovation faced resistance. But what matters is how we respond. We need to make noise, get people talking. If we believe in this, we can't be silenced. A flicker of hope danced back into the room. Lucas nodded enthusiastically. Yeah, we'll show them what we're made of. We can organize rallies, maybe even a car show to spread the word. Jake felt a swell of pride. Exactly. We'll turn our passion into action. However, we also need to prepare for backlash. That's part of the race. We have to gear up, not just for the thrill, but for the stumbles too. David raised his hand, his expression earnest. Maybe we should reach out to the local newspaper or radio. If we get our story out there, we can gather support from the whole town. That's smart, Samantha said, her eyes lighting up with excitement. And we can use social media to spread the word far and wide. We'll create a buzz. Ideas began to flow again, revitalizing the energy in the space. They shared visions of community events, outreach programs, and empowerment workshops that could engage not just car enthusiasts, but everyone in the area. Yet, amidst the excitement, a thought nudged at Jake's mind. Would they really be able to withstand any opposition? What if their efforts were met with threats or negativity? Sure, we can plan all these things, he interjected, trying to keep his voice steady. But what if we face pushback? Those who want to tear us down won't be silent. Samantha placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. Then we confront it, together. There's strength in numbers. We'll have each other's backs, even when the going gets tough. The crowd seemed to rally at her words, finding solidarity in their shared commitment. I'm in, Lucas declared, pumping his fist in the air. We can't let fear stop us. This is our chance to show the world what we can do. Encouraged by his fervor, Jake felt the adrenaline surge within. What they were building together was so much more than just cars. It was a lifeline, a stronghold for everyone seeking belonging, purpose, and passion. As the meeting continued, planning shifted into high gear. They divided tasks and set definite deadlines, each collective gasp of excitement lighting up the room. The air crackled with determination. They were shaping something vital, planting seeds that could bloom into a full-blown community movement. But just as the night drew to a close, a small voice in Jake's mind warned him to stay vigilant. Doubts lingered, insisting that resistance would come, testing their resolve in ways they hadn't foreseen. As they wrapped up, Jake looked around the room, feeling an undeniable bond among them. Let us channel our energy into something powerful. It's time to show everyone that we won't back down. His heart beat loud against his chest, a mixture of excitement and anxiety. With alliances formed, they were ready to take the first leap. But in that moment, the question gnawed at him. Would their unity withstand the inevitable storms ahead? Just then, a rumble of thunder echoed outside, a warning from the universe. Was it a sign? With everything they had put on the line, the real journey was only beginning. As the door swung open to let in a gust of fresh air, Jake whispered softly to himself, "Are we truly ready for what's coming?" At that moment, the path forward felt both exhilarating and daunting. What awaited them was uncertain, but the thrill of the chase had begun. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow across the parking lot where their plans were beginning to take shape. As Jake stepped outside, he could feel the energy buzzing around him. The air was thick with anticipation. Samantha, Lucas, and David were already there, pacing excitedly as they discussed details of their first community event. "We should start with something simple," Lucas suggested, his enthusiasm infectious. "A weekend meet-up to showcase our cars and invite anyone interested to join in." "Definitely," Samantha agreed, her laughter ringing like a bell. "We can create a fun atmosphere, with food trucks and music. Let us make it a festival." Jake's heart raced. He could see it all clearly. Cars gleaming under the sun, families laughing, neighbors chatting. This was the chance to connect and inspire. But just as quickly, his excitement was tempered by the weight of uncertainty. Would people show up? Would they be welcomed? What if no one comes? He blurted out, arms crossed defensively. The concern slipped out before he could rein himself in. David looked at him, brow furrowed. "Then we keep trying until we find our crowd. It's just the first of many events, Jake." Jake took a deep breath, willing himself to shake the doubt. He wanted to believe in their vision, in their bond. Maybe, just maybe, everyone would see what they saw: a community where passion and belonging fused. As they brainstormed, he noticed the flicker of determination in each set of eyes around him. The laughter, the camaraderie, they were strong together. "Let us set a date," Samantha declared, excitement radiating from her. They all pulled out their phones, searching through calendars, and within minutes a date was set. Jake felt a strange surge of pride. They were doing this together. But as plans solidified, the rumble of past fears grumbled like thunder in his mind. "Wait, we need to think ahead. What about the backlash? What if someone tries to disrupt us?" The casual atmosphere shifted. Samantha frowned, her fingers drumming on the hood of a nearby car. "We can't let that stop us from moving forward," she cautioned. "It's going to be a part of our journey. Just like you said the other day, we need to stand strong if we're going to make an impact." David nodded. "If they come at us, we deal with it with dignity. We can have a united front. Let us create a safe space. Everyone can voice their opinions. But we can't let negativity pull us apart." Jake swallowed hard, meeting their gaze one by one. Trust flooded through him. They were ready, but the nagging thought persisted. Could they handle it? As twilight deepened, they gathered on the hood of a classic car, sharing stories of why they loved automobiles. Jake listened intently as Lucas spoke of his childhood aspirations, while Samantha shared her grandfather's passion for racing. Each story layered another piece into the tapestry of their community, fortifying their mission. Yet, even amidst the joy, shadows danced in Jake's mind. He knew it wouldn't take long for resistance to surface. "Okay, so it's settled," he said finally, forcing a grin. "We're all in. But first, we need to put together a plan for the unexpected, how to handle troublemakers, should they arise." Lucas laughed, the sound bright and hopeful. "Bring it on. You said it yourself. We won't back down." Jake felt buoyed by their resolve, but a part of him still hesitated, wondering what challenges their newfound unity would face. As they wrapped up the evening, the camaraderie felt electric. Yet within him, the uncertainty loomed, waiting for the moment when it would rise to challenge their dreams. As they each said their goodbyes, Jake lingered, watching the stars slowly emerge. The thrill of something new churned in his stomach. Are we really ready for the storm? Just then, he felt a vibration in his pocket and alert on his phone. A message flashed across the screen, one that both excited and terrified him. Local news wants to cover your event. What did that mean for them? Before he could analyze the implications, another thought crossed his mind. What if this was just the beginning of something bigger, something they weren't prepared to face? Jake stood there, staring at the screen, a mix of apprehension and excitement coursing through him. The words seemed to echo in his mind. Local news wants to cover your event. He had imagined this moment, of being recognized for their hard work, but now that it was here, doubt began to bubble up. What if this wasn't the boost they hoped for? What if it turned out to be a disaster in the making? He quickly typed a response, trying to disguise his unease, and hit send. It felt like a leap off a cliff into the unknown. The next day, the group gathered under their favorite oak tree, a chill breeze kissing their cheeks. So, what do we need to do to prepare? Samantha asked excitedly, the gleam of determination in her eyes. Lucas tapped his chin thoughtfully. We need to draw attention to the cars and the people behind them. Let us set up a few interviews with those who might attend, share their stories. David chimed in. And let us make sure to engage everyone. Hand out flyers, challenge our friends to bring someone new. The more the merrier. Jake nodded, but in the depths of his heart, anxiety tugged at him. What if people didn't like what they saw? What if the stories shared highlighted everything that was wrong rather than the passion that drove them? As the days passed, word spread and anticipation grew. They decorated the venue with vibrant banners and arranged tables for food trucks. Music echoed in the air, each note a reminder of what they fought for. Yet every smile from his friends seemed to dim the shadow looming within him. Jake, are you okay? Samantha asked one evening as they painted signs together. Yeah, just thinking, he replied, not wanting to put a damper on her excitement. About what? She turned to him, genuine concern etched across her features. About how vulnerable this makes us, he finally confessed. People have strong opinions. What if they don't accept us? Samantha was silent for a moment, paintbrush hovering above a canvas. You know, it's at times like these that we really find out who we are. It's a risk, but the connection we're building is worth it. If we show up with love and passion, that's what will shine through. Her conviction struck a chord deep within him. Maybe that was the key, letting love and hope be their guiding force. As the night of the meetup arrived, the atmosphere brimmed with promise. Cars lined the parking lot, their polished surfaces reflecting the twinkling lights strung above. The scent of grilled burgers and spicy tacos wafted through the air, drawing in neighbors and families. Jake glanced around, awash in a sea of faces, some familiar, some new, all buzzing with curiosity and excitement. But as his heart raced with anticipation, he caught a glimpse of a few figures lingering at the edge of the crowd, their faces drawn in disapproval. A chill ran down his spine. Could they really handle what was brewing beneath the surface? He stepped closer to Samantha, who was happily chatting with a little boy admiring a classic Mustang. Do you see them? He muttered, eyes fixed on the cluster of onlookers. She turned, her expression shifting to one of resolve. Let us not worry about them right now. Focus on the people who are here for the right reasons. We can't let negativity take our joy. The event was unfolding beautifully around him, laughter mingling with the music. But Jake couldn't shake the feeling that the storm wasn't far away. Just as he contemplated how to address the distractions, his phone buzzed again. It was another message. This time it read, "We're coming, just to see what happens." What did that mean? Who was we? Anxiety clawed at him again. But with a bracing breath, he chose to focus on the people laughing and sharing stories about cars, the community they were building. But shadows loomed on the horizon, and tonight was just the beginning. Would their community withstand the test, or would they crumble when faced with adversity? With a heart full of hope and uncertainty, he watched as the crowd grew. The moment of truth was upon them, and he knew they were on the edge of something monumental. As Jake stood in the midst of the bustling crowd, a mix of anticipation and trepidation wrapped around him like a heavy cloak. The parking lot, illuminated by strings of fairy lights, shimmered with excitement. Laughter echoed in the air, and the delicious aroma of food wafted toward him, but a tight knot of nerves twisted in his stomach. Would those lurking shadows turn the tide against them? Samantha joined him, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm amidst the chaos. Look at them, Jake. This is what we dreamed of. Yeah, but there are still so many unknowns, he replied, gesturing subtly to the figures lingering at the edge, their expressions clouded with skepticism. A voice rang out over the music, Mrs. Baker, waving as she approached. Jake, this is amazing. I brought some of my famous cookies. She held up a tray, and laughter spread through the crowd. People mingled, sharing stories about the cars they had connected with. Jake's heart swelled a little, momentarily forgetting the anxiety creeping around in his mind. But just as he began to relax, a sharp voice cut through the laughter. What's this? A car show for the common folk? It sneered. Jake's stomach dropped. David stepped forward, the businessman's voice tangling with mockery as he leaned against his polished car, a stark contrast to the heartfelt gathering around them. You think this will change anything? The laughter died down, an uneasy tension settling over the crowd. People exchanged glances, uncertainty hovered like a veil. Jake's heart raced, but he knew he couldn't let fear win. Gathering his thoughts, he took a step forward. It's about more than just cars, David. This community deserves recognition for their choices, their stories. We're sharing what really matters, togetherness. The words sparked a flicker of understanding. A few faces nodded, emboldened by his enthusiasm. You call this togetherness? David snapped, his voice dripping with disdain. You're just promoting mediocrity. Jake could feel the seized moment slipping, but he pressed on. No, we're promoting value, equality, cars that serve our lives. This is about family, our families. The crowd shifted, some beginning to murmur in agreement. Tom approached, planting his feet shoulder-width apart. There's nothing mediocre about it if it works for us. Respect grows from what bonds us, not from flash. The crowd began to buzz with murmurs of support. Jake's heart lifted. They were fighting back. Let us show others what real community looks like, Emily chimed in, stepping beside her father, her young voice filled with resolute strength. This isn't just about cars, it's about stories, real stories. The crowd's energy swelled, shifting toward hope. Samantha waved at a nearby group and shouted, Hey everyone, let us share why we love our cars. Does anyone want to take the mic? Yeah. People began to step forward, eager to share their stories. Jake felt a surge of warmth. This was exactly what they needed. One by one, a diverse tapestry of voices emerged. Mrs. Baker talked about her trusty old minivan that had been her only companion since her husband passed. A young couple shared how they restored an old truck together, and laughter soon echoed from their tales of ridiculous road trips. With each heartfelt story, Jake felt the weight lift. That surge of unity unfurled like a blossom under the sun. But shadows still lurked, and Jake kept glancing toward David, who seemed increasingly agitated, frustration pooling in his eyes. As one last effort, David leaned in, trying to disrupt the growing warmth. What happens when this falls apart? When the reality of your cruel town comes crashing back? Jake swallowed hard, but then remembered those storm clouds above him. We will face those storms together. This is just the start. As his words drifted out, a hush fell over the crowd once more. The atmosphere felt electric. Then, unexpectedly, an older woman stepped forward, looking right at Jake. You're right, young man. We can do more. This city needs us to stand up and support one another. The crowd erupted with cheers, a tapestry woven tighter with each shout of agreement. Suddenly, all the hopeful voices surged together. We want tea back down, they shouted in unison, the message echoing through the night. David, caught off guard by the wave of determination, retreated a little, his confidence waning. With fuel coursing through their veins, they marched forward, united with clarity and purpose. Jake reveled in it. The community before him shone brighter than any polished car, each face radiating a shared vision. They weren't just taking a stand. They were challenging the notion of success itself. Realness over materialism. Unity over division. In that heartbeat, Jake felt a surge of gratitude, remembering his children standing beside him, the trusting gaze from Emily, the spark of enthusiasm in Lucas's smile. As the evening darkened, a shimmering sense of triumph enveloped the gathering. Together, They had ignited a spark of change that would ripple through boundaries, perhaps even heaving against shadows lurking at the edges. "Let us take a picture," someone shouted, laughter bubbling over amid the energy of victory. They gathered together, arms around one another, smiles stretching across their faces. Jake could only sigh, relief washing over him like summer rain. "This is it," he murmured to himself. "This is just the beginning." And in that moment, he understood they had created a safe harbor against the storm. The winds of change had begun to blow, and through these relationships, they would weather anything that came their way. In the vibrant glow of their gathering, Jake felt a sense of purpose surge within. This was true grit. This was family. The future lay before them, filled with challenges sure to arise, but also bursting with the warmth of community and the promise of connection. Then a clear voice broke through the chatter. "What is next? Let us keep this momentum going." The crowd roared in agreement. As one, they raised their voices together, the thread of unity weaving into the night. As laughter and activity unfolded, Jake silently watched. "We will thrive," he thought, believing wholeheartedly in the power of their shared journey. They would face whatever storms life threw their way, armed with the best kind of fuel: community, resilience, and boundless love. Now the time had come to forge ahead. "Are you ready?" he echoed aloud, and they responded with a resounding yes. With hearts alight and futures intertwined, they took that leap together. The road ahead was long, but they'd face it side by side, willing to redefine what it meant to succeed. Their voices, their stories, they were just getting started. And Jake smiled, knowing that together, they were unstoppable. This was their moment. You're witnessing the birth of something real. If you felt the energy in this story, you need to subscribe now to experience the next incredible journey. This is the moment to show your support. Hit that like button now, it truly makes a difference. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to feel inspired by the strength of community. Leave a comment below with your reactions and feelings about this powerful transformation. Let's keep this movement alive together.